welcome back. I'm Helen from Just Saying Mum. I'm back today with Sarah and Jane. Hi, thank you for joining me again. Sarah and Jane, for those of you who haven't met them, are teen specialists, adolescent counselling, specialists in preteen behaviour. They run their own company called BE Integrative Therapy, looking at ways to help teens develop and through talking therapies. Lots of talking going on today. So I invited Sarah and Jane back because I've started opening up my vlog to parents to email me any issues they want discussed further with particular parenting experts. So one of the questions that came to me this week was a one actually I think a lot of us will be able to relate to, also Sarah and Jane too, with their children, was about keeping our teens and our preteens safe on social media, but whilst respecting their privacy. Not an easy one at all. So I'd like to pose to Sarah and Jane how they think that we could best parent our children through this difficult time. It's something we weren't used to when we were growing up. So it's a very different aspect of parenting. So I'm throwing it out there. I don't have any ideas really. So I'm looking at Sarah and Jane's expertise. So thank you for handing you that one.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, this is a problem that most parents I think will face now that children's lives are so computer orientated with the phones. We touched on that before.
Yes.
I think unfortunately they're never going to be 100% safe, and I think we're sort of kidding ourselves if we think that they are really.
That's frightening,
yeah,
but probably
I mean,
true.
depending on the age of the child,
yes.
You can always put parental controls on the computer, that goes without saying, but a lot of what we're talking about is generic and it's about slightly older children.
It is.
So
yes.
again, the question was the safety issue, but obviously realising they do have to have an element of privacy themselves and be responsible enough for what they are looking at. Having said that, I think that, again, it's all about communication. You've got to understand that you're only going to have control while they're in your house, and even then it's a tenuous sort of control.
Yes.
Because once your child goes out and visits, say, a friend, then whatever happens in that house happens.
Oh, that's a good point. That's
absolutely.
A really good point. And
yes.
I'm sure other parents have had that happen time and time again. I know I've had a couple of incidences where I'm quite strict on age certificates on gaming for my son. So he is 12. I don't allow him to play 16 plus, 18 plus.
But a lot of parents.
But when he goes to friends' houses, he does. And
yes,
that's
indeed.
really hard. And he's seeing material that I'm not happy with, but he certainly isn't happy with either. No. So that is tricky.
And going back to your own house, I don't think there's anything wrong with occasionally just sort of a quick tap on the door and walking in. I think it's not trying to catch them out, but again, it just sort of, you get a feel for perhaps what might be going on in the bedroom with regard to the internet.
Okay.
And I think that the main thing here is you know your own child.
Yes.
And it's just watching for signs that they may be perhaps expressing opinions that are slightly odd.
Okay.
Coming out with comments that you wouldn't have necessarily expected them to come out with. You know, just feeling like, oh, that's odd. You've never said anything like that before, or you know, or they say something you think, well, where did that come from? Where did that influence come from? Just any odd behaviour. Perhaps involve siblings sometimes. Just listen to siblings talk. I mean, it's awful because it sounds as though you're spying on them, but you know, you're doing it from a good place.
You're not spying. We wouldn't. It's very much looking out for your child.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say spying.
And the person that sort of came in with the problem, I'm assuming that most parents are worried about the same sorts of things, which is unfortunately online porn.
Yes.
Perhaps children being exposed to things that are going to give them poor body image.
Okay, no, absolutely, that's a big one.
You know, the really serious issues of perhaps grooming.
Yes.
Online violence. Unfortunately, there is a lot of stuff out there that isn't palatable.
It's not. It's not at all. Even at our age, let alone at their mind seeing an image.
It's almost a stranger danger thing. That is an old-fashioned term, but for us, when we were young, that literally really did mean mum telling you not to talk to strange men in the park. These days, you know, it has gone
much wider,
you know, over such a wide area, and it's just trying to get them to remember that not everything is perhaps what it seems. And again, just watching your own child, just watch for signs that perhaps they've seen something or heard something that's making them just act a little unusual for them. Not even odd, but just, you know, just not the sort of thing that they would normally say or do.
No, that's a good point. So what you're really
just trusting
saying
your gut instinct,
is really observing, that kind of silent observing,
Yes, absolutely.
watching, listening, not always jumping in all the time with what are you doing, what's going on, really looking for other signs. Taking a step back perhaps. Jane, we were talking about something else before we started recording, about how to best approach if you do suspect.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that as parents we tend to jump in and try and resolve issues before they've really started.
Yes.
Now, I know from previous experience that if I tend to do that, the biggest thing is for them to take a step back, clam up, and they say nothing at all. So the way that I do approach it sometimes is to say that, actually, can you help me out with this? I need some help in understanding things that are perhaps out there
from their perspective,
yes, okay. and turn it around, because they always like to think that they've got more information than the parents anyway.
Yes, they love that.
They probably have to.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
the other thing is that, you know, we're generalising here, but we're talking about really giving our teenagers some trust as well. You were saying about your son actually was really quite scared with some of the things that he had seen. You can't do anything other than perhaps guide them a bit and advise them that, you know, these things do have limits on them, because there's content within them.
Yes, and they're
suitable for that.
Certificate for a reason.
Exactly. You'll always get a 12-year-old that is like an 18-year-old and vice versa. But again, it comes back to knowing your child. And if there are the odd bit that's coming in about body image or a sudden big change, and you think, oh, I want to start discussing that, try and open it up to the whole family. And one of the ways to perhaps do it is introducing a game at dinner time.
Okay.
Everyone puts an idea into the pot once a week. I'm not saying this is every dinner time, because it could get a bit tedious. Okay.
They'll never come for dinner.
Exactly. Just to open up the conversation. Okay, let's talk about something totally different tonight. Pick one out and see what that is.
Love that. Love that idea.
All
Kids.
You can all have a view. You can do the pros. You can do the cons.
Yes.
And it's just a way of actually engaging and finding out what their thoughts are.
Okay.
Respecting those thoughts and those views, and really starting to question them on it without it becoming too personal.
So actually thinking about, perhaps not for someone who's already got the problem arising about cyberbullying, social media body imaging problems, inappropriate content, but perhaps us as parents introducing a game like that on a regular basis, where we do all scribble an idea on a piece of paper and pop it in a pot and pull it out at random at a weekend to talk about. So those lines of communication, we're coming back to that again.
Absolutely.
Lines of communication are always open.
Yeah. In fact, going back to those lines of communication, it is a bit old hat putting everything into a pot. Open up a WhatsApp group for the family.
Okay.
Start posting on there what the topic of conversation is going to be tonight.
Love it.
Bring it back into
very modern.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Very different for us, but start bringing it back into their language, so that
And
you're trying to start to understand what they do see the whole time, what they are actually open to just, to respect their views as well.
Exactly, because I think you're sending out the message that actually we know you have an opinion, and actually
yes,
it's valid.
And your opinion is
yes.
valid, not even though you are a teenager. We're
Doesn't
respecting
matter.
both ways. Okay, girls, thank you. I think a lot of good points made there. I'm trying not to wave my hands in front of Jane's face all the time. Lots of great points there. It's very hard in a short video to give concise advice, and obviously if people have still got issues that they want to develop further or discuss further with Sarah and Jane, they contact me and I can put you in contact with them for them to go through with you in more detail. But concisely, I think what we're saying is look, listen, observing for any unusual behaviour, and discussing at dinner time issues that are real to our children on the internet to try and keep them safe. I hope that helps, and Sarah and Jane, thank you once again, in a nutshell, to try and make us all better parents. So thank you, and thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.